Karen snuck 30 guests into my pool, then screamed when I locked the gate and called the police. What would you do if you walked out to your backyard and found 30 strangers splashing in your pool, eating your snacks, and acting like your private home was a public water park? I'll tell you what I did. I locked the gate. Then I hit record. And then I called the cops. My name's Isaiah Brooks. I'm a Navy vet, EMT, and the proud owner of the only in-ground pool in our cul-de-sac, something I built myself as a post-deployment project. Saltwater system, stone tiles, proper drainage, even a sun shelf with built-in umbrella mounts. It's my peace, my therapy, my reward, and it's strictly invite only. Most of my neighbors respect that. But Karen? Karen acted like I owed her chlorine and chaise lounges just for existing. Her real name's Tamara Gilroy, but everyone calls her Karen, even her mailman. She's maybe late 50s, heavy-set, perpetually red in the face, and always clutching some kind of clipboard, measuring tape, or cheap whistle. She wasn't elected to anything, but somehow anointed herself compliance chair of our very non-existent HOA. From the day she moved in, it was nonstop drama. She hated my solar lights. She said my flagpole was too militant. Once told me I had suspicious garden mulch. But the last straw came on a 97-degree Saturday, right at the start of summer. I was out on a medical rotation and got home late, sunburned, bone-tired, ready to fall face-first into a cold drink. Instead, I walked through my side gate and nearly passed out from disbelief. There were 30 people in my backyard. 30. Teenagers doing cannonballs. Adults lounging in my chairs. Someone had dragged out my Bluetooth speaker. There were sodas spilled on my grill cover and red Solo cups floating in the shallow end. And standing in the center of it all, arms folded like she was conducting a wedding rehearsal, was Karen. She spotted me and gave me the fakest smile I've ever seen. "Oh, Isaiah, we didn't think you'd be home so early." I just blinked. "What is this?" "A few of us needed to cool down," she said casually. "I told everyone you wouldn't mind. You're always helping the community. You broke into my backyard." "Well," she sniffed, adjusting her sun hat, "the gate wasn't locked." It absolutely had been. I checked it that morning. One of the teens had clearly jumped the side fence and unlatched it. My private property, no trespassing sign had been ripped down and tossed under the grill. And then, as I stood there absorbing it all, one of the guests walked past me holding my Yeti tumbler. That was it. I turned back through the gate, stepped out, reached behind the post, and clicked the manual gate lock shut. Then I flipped the second latch, the internal deadbolt I added after an old raccoon incident. Click. Then I pulled out my phone. Karen was too busy yelling at some kid for splashing her caftan to notice. I hit record. I hit speaker. I dialed 911. "This is Isaiah Brooks at 247 Milestone. I've got a group of uninvited individuals trespassing in my fenced backyard, using my private pool. I'd like officers dispatched immediately." The dispatcher asked if I felt threatened. "No," I said, "but they're about to be very uncomfortable." That's when Karen noticed I wasn't inside anymore. She waddled to the gate, gripping the bars like a zoo exhibit, her voice climbing 3 octaves. "You locked US in. You let yourself in," I said calmly. "This is illegal. What you did is illegal. I have video of everything." She shook the gate. "Let US out, you maniac. You'll be let out by the people in uniform." She screamed for someone to scale the damn fence, but no one did. Maybe it was the fact I was filming. Maybe it was the badge tattoo on my forearm. Maybe it was the sirens already audible in the distance. The first squad car rolled up 5 minutes later. Then a second. By the time the officers walked around to the gate and saw 30 sweating, sunburned people awkwardly standing in swimsuits, with Karen shaking the gate like a busted vending machine, they already knew something was off. One officer, Deputy Linares, turned to me. "You called it in?" I nodded, showed him the live video feed still recording on my phone, and handed over a folder copies of my deed, pool permits, and home security footage from the last 3 hours, emailed to myself. The other officer approached the gate. Karen immediately launched into performance mode. "Officer, thank God. This dangerous man locked us in like animals. We were just having a peaceful neighborhood gathering." The officer tilted his head. On his private property? Without his consent. Karen's voice cracked. It was implied. No, it wasn't, I said calmly, still filming. She entered through a locked gate. She tore down my sign, and she invited 30 people, some of whom I've never seen, to trespass on my property and use my pool. That's when one of the guests, a frazzled dad in flip-flops, piped up from the corner. Wait, this isn't a public pool. His wife snapped. Regina told us he was hosting a free summer kickoff for the block. My name's not Regina, I said. It's Isaiah, and I invited exactly 0 of you. Twist number 1. Turns out Karen had made a flyer. Not some handwritten note, an actual glossy flyer. Full color. Claimed it was a community-sponsored open pool day hosted by emergency services volunteer and neighborhood liaison Isaiah Brooks. She even added a fake signature. Twist number 2. Dolores, her cousin, had been stationed at the front entrance earlier collecting liability waivers from guests. Waivers that weren't real. Just printed Word docs with a paragraph of nonsense and a $5 donation for refreshments. They'd made over $300 before I got home. Now people were angry, not just embarrassed. Livid. She lied to us? I want my $5 back. Wait, is this why the cops are here? The officers separated Karen, pulled Dolores from behind the bush she tried to hide behind, and questioned them both. They crumbled like stale cookies. Karen tried the classic deflection. You don't understand, I was trying to bring the neighborhood together. Deputy Linares didn't flinch. By impersonating someone and charging strangers to use his pool, she was arrested on the spot. Misdemeanor, trespassing, misrepresentation, and petty fraud. Dolores got hit with solicitation without a permit. The guests were let out one at a time after showing ID and signing statements. Most apologized. Some offered to clean up. I declined. I wanted them gone. As for Karen, she screamed the whole way to the cruiser. I'm going to sue him. I have a right to community water access. This is what happens when you try to build something positive. The officers just shut the door and drove off. Within 2 days, the entire neighborhood knew. By the end of the week, Karen's fake HOA liaison group was dissolved. She made it up no legal standing, no recognition, just a bunch of printouts and borrowed authority. The county filed a permanent no-contact order, and the owner of the house she rented evicted her, citing breach of lease, harassment, and get this unauthorized aquatic activity. My pool was quiet again. I added a new lock system, motion lights, and just for the poetic touch, mounted a custom wooden sign inside the gate that reads, "This pool is protected by cameras, deeds, and consequences." The next time I hosted a real party, Deputy Linares and half the local firehouse came. I grilled for 20. We swam, we laughed, and we didn't have to kick anyone out. So I'll leave you with this. If someone lies, sneaks, and floods your yard with strangers, is it wrong to make sure they leave in the back of a cruiser instead of a towel? True or false, sometimes the best boundary is a locked gate and a camera rolling. The end.